Starting at 30. I mean, I feel kind of bummed out doing this because, they did end their week on a good note, but the Marlins, man, not a great week for the Marlins. Did walk it off against the Phillies today, but that ended a 5-game losing streak. They got swept by the Dodgers, losing 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. And really, I would say, besides the walk-off today, the best highlight that they had going into the Dodgers and the Marlins where Yamamoto was pitching, I don't remember who on MLB Network, but he said that there was already a no-hitter alert. Yamamoto hadn't even thrown a pitch to start the game yet. He said there was a no-hitter alert, and literally on the first pitch of the game, Jazz Chisholm went deep, home run. That was just amazing. But one more highlight. You could say Jesus Luzardo as well made his return. He's been dealing with some issues with the elbow. He looked pretty solid overall against the Phillies. 5 2/3, 2 earned, 8 strikeouts. There's a trade candidate, absolutely. And that's a big start for him. And for the Marlins, they really need to make sure they keep him healthy because that is going to be a big key for them for their fire sale for this deadline. He's going to bring back a lot, so keep him healthy. That is huge for the Marlins this year. And, hey, how about Brian De La Cruz as well? Brian De La Cruz has been hitting really well. This is a guy a couple of years ago I was saying, hey, look out for the breakout from Brian De La Cruz. And then last year, didn't really get it going at all. But this year, he's looking a lot better. In his last 7 games, hitting .346, a .414 on base, a .731 slugging, 3 home runs. Brian De La Cruz, I mean, hey, if a team's looking for a right-handed bat, that's absolutely a guy that could get moved. So, number 29, we got the White Sox. And, funny enough with the White Sox, they actually had a good weekend, winning 3 out of 4 against the Guardians. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Rays earlier in the week. Paul DeJong, red hot this week, 3 home runs. Tommy Pham hit a home run. There's another trade candidate. I guarantee that guy gets moved. And, hey, we actually had a trade earlier this week. Robbie Grossman going to the Rangers, so there was a trade there itself. But the White Sox, hey, they won a series this weekend. Got to give it to them. But I got to put the Rockies ahead of them because they just swept the defending champion Texas Rangers. I mean, listen, they lost 2 out of 3 of the Giants, but when you sweep the defending champs, I mean, that's got to put you up a little higher than these two. Tovar with a 2-run home run today. They had a 6-run 7th inning on Saturday. Ryan McMahon, a great game, 4 for 5 in that one. They also faced John Gray, former Colorado Rocky. They won that one 4-2. Some sad news. Benny Montgomery, one of their top prospects, got drafted pretty high a couple of years ago. Getting shoulder surgery, going to be missing a lot of this season. They're thinking he could be back at the end of the year, but don't be surprised if Benny Montgomery ends up missing the rest of the year. So, the Mets pulled it out. The Mets pulled it out against the Braves. I can't believe it. Brandon Nimmo with a walk-off home run. I can't believe it. Wow, how about the Mets? Could that change the power rankings for tonight? Could that happen? Maybe. We'll get to the Mets in a little bit. I don't know. That might change up my positioning here a little bit. We'll see. We'll talk about it when we get there. So, number 27, we got the Angels. So for the Angels, they did win 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. That was their first series win since sweeping the Marlins earlier in the year in April. It took that long for them to win a series. My goodness, how times have changed for the Angels. But dropping their series to the Royals this past weekend. Kevin Pillar had a big game earlier in the week. 2 homers, 6 RBIs in the first game against the Pirates. O'Hoppe went 4 for 5 in that one. Sandoval had a really good outing his last time out. Wasn't as effective against the Royals today, but there's a guy. Look out for him, man. The Angels, there's clearly nothing there with the Angels, so maybe Sandoval could end up being a trade piece. There is more control for him after this year, so that could be attractive for some teams if they're looking to add to their rotation. But, yeah, the Angels, what else is there to say? There's just not really much to say. At number 26, Cardinals, man. Cardinals. Man, coming into the year, I'm thinking, all right, Cardinals, okay, they've added some pieces. They've added some innings to this rotation. Sure, not really guys, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, they're not really going to blow you away. But I was thinking, okay, they add some stability to this rotation. Sonny Gray is going to add some good stuff there. They've done a couple of things, a couple of younger guys going to be stepping up. And the Cardinals, once again, they're just falling flat, losing both their series this week to the Mets and the Brewers. They did salvage the series today. Siani, he is hitting pretty well for the Cardinals. 8 for his last 19. He had the go-ahead double in the 7th today. Paul Goldschmidt, rough start for him so far, but he did hit a homer today. Could that be a sign of things to come? I mean, listen, if the Cardinals are going to keep trending in this direction, Paul Goldschmidt is absolutely a trade candidate. But I mean, if he's hitting, in the low 200s, or, come July, I mean, what teams are going to want him, right? So, Cardinals at this point, yeah, you're hoping that they can get back into it, but if they're not going to get into it, you hope that at least Goldschmidt is going to hit a little bit. So, yeah, right now, I don't think anyone would be, I don't know, Goldschmidt, the one thing he would bring you is, a veteran guy that's obviously had a lot of success, maybe a change of scenery, maybe getting thrusted into a playoff race, get him energized a little bit. You know what he can do. He's obviously had a great career. So, but he's absolutely going to be a trade piece if the Cardinals are out of it, but we'll see what the interest is even like. Just the offense has not been good. Nootbaar, Gorman, Herrera, Burleson, they've all been hitting well, but Arenado, Donovan, they've just not been good. I don't know. The starting pitching, it's up and down. Michaelis had a quality start today. Gibson's been pretty good his last couple of starts, but Lynn, Gray, who's been amazing this year, they took L's their last time out. But the big news for the Cardinals, Wilson Contreras on a swing from JD Martinez, breaking his arm or got a fracture in his arm. That's just brutal. Like, you don't ever see anything. Like, you do see some guys where they get hit, like a little piece of the bat will like catch him or something, but I can't think of a time where a guy broke his arm, like a catcher broke his arm on a swing. That's just crazy, man. Well wishes to Wilson Contreras, man. So, but the Cardinals, I don't know what to think about the Cardinals. Just ahead of them, we got the Pirates at 25, losing 2 out of 3 to the Angels and the Cubs. But the big story, like I said in the intro, Paul Skenes making his debut. 7 strikeouts, 4 innings, 3 earned. You're pretty much hearing this everywhere. Like, yeah, there were nerves, right? Major League debut. Obviously, there's so much hype behind Paul Skenes. But goodness gracious, man, the stuff that he had, that he was flashing in, granted, 4 innings, was just insane. Fastball was averaging 100.1 miles per hour. The splitter was averaging 94.7 miles an hour. That's insane. He threw 12 splitters in this outing. He got 7 whiffs. That thing was nasty. The slider was nasty. Oh, good grief. In the end, though, he ended up not really factoring into the result of the game. The game got delayed. The Cubs, they ended up coming back. They took the lead. But the Pirates, they ended up winning it 10-9. Connor Joe, O'Neal Cruz, Michael Taylor, Grandal, McCutcheon, they all homered in this one. And actually, Foolish Baseball posted this funny stat where the last 2 big pitching debuts for Paul Skenes and Steven Strasburg, Andrew McCutcheon was in both of those games. So I thought that was a pretty interesting fact from Foolish Baseball there. You had Olivares hit a grand slam against the Angels. Kind of a fun fact with that one. There was a guy last year, he caught a home run from Ke'Bryan Hayes, and then he was the same guy who caught the Olivares grand slam. So I thought that was really interesting. Mitch Keller had a complete game this past week, but the Pirates, man, they're just, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this Pirates team. If I were to go pull up my numbers real quick here, like the Pirates, they got talent, but they're not really putting it together. They're 27th in offense. They're 17th in starting pitching. Their fielding is abysmal. They rank 29th in the major leagues. So, I don't know. This Pirates team, they got the talent. It's just a matter of putting it all together. We'll see what ends up happening. Number 24, the Blue Jays. Here's another team. I don't know what to think of this team, right? Splitting 2 with the Phillies this week, losing 2 out of 3 to the Twins. They did have a big comeback win against the Twins this past weekend. Probably easily their best game of the season so far. A big comeback for them. Vlad, he went 4 for 5 in that one, 3 RBIs. Davis Schneider, he's been really good for them lately. Went 3 for 4 in that one, a homer and a double, just a triple shy of the cycle. But other than that, not really a whole lot to be excited about with the Blue Jays this past week. Their offense is so up and down. They're 20th in offense, and the starting pitching has not been there, right? The last 7 games, they ranked 26 in Fangraph WAR in starting pitching. Manoah was not bad today, but he just didn't have the offense show up. There was a bit of a pitcher's duel with him and Ober today. Manoah, his final line, 7 innings, 3 runs unearned. What ended up happening there, Kepler, there was an error by Ernie Clement at third base, and then Castro got a base hit, and then Carlos Santana with the home run. So, tough luck for Manoah there. Gausman, he got roughed up this past weekend. He had 3 innings, 10 hits, 7 earned. And I think with Gausman, you go back to the beginning of the year, coming into the year, his spring training got kind of messed up because he had some shoulder fatigue going on. That to me was a big red flag for Gausman. Like, he has looked good in a couple of starts, but man, this is a guy last year where he looked phenomenal. Almost every single start last year. He was so good, but he just has not looked the same so far this year. I mean, giving up 10 hits, 7 earned against the Twins this weekend. My goodness. Barrios looked awful against the Phillies. Blue Jays, man, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot to be excited about. Coming into the year, the Blue Jays, I said this. There was something that made me feel weird about the Blue Jays coming in. There was, obviously, they have talent on this team, but I feel like there's been some fatigue with the Blue Jays over the last couple of years, right? They had a big offseason a couple of years ago. A lot of people were crowning them for the American League, and then they fell flat. They fell flat again last year. I don't know. There's fatigue there. And coming into the year, I just kind of wondered, is this a team that could fall flat? And right now, it's starting to feel like it. Number 23, you could probably make the argument the Blue Jays probably could be ahead of the Astros, but you know what? The Astros, at least they won a series this past weekend. I'll give them that. Could that be maybe a sign of life for Houston winning 2 out of 3 against the Tigers? They did lose 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. The Yankees kicked their heinies earlier in the week. Verlander got rocked in that one. 7 earned in 5 innings. Most runs allowed against the Yankees in his career. Did look good against the Tigers today, though. So, Valdez did pretty well. 7 innings, 2 earned in his last start. Tucker, a couple of home runs in this one. 13 home runs now in the major leagues. That leads all of Major League Baseball. So Kyle Tucker, though, I made a post today on Twitter. I talked about this today. I wonder, when I just did my video this past week or a couple weeks ago, I can't remember when I did it, but I talked about after Luis Arraez got traded, I thought, okay, who are some guys that are trade candidates after Luis Arraez? And I talked about, Alex Bregman on the Astros. You got guys like Ryan Presley in the bullpen that could be a candidate. But why not Kyle Tucker? I mean, really think about it. Kyle Tucker, he's got 1 more year of control after this year. He's very good, right? But so when you combine the season of control along with being one of the better hitters in Major League Baseball, combine that with the fact that the Astros have a farm system that's starving. Kyle Tucker, I'm actually starting to wonder if he could be a trade candidate. Just because when you combine all of those factors, unless the Astros want to extend him, right? That would be another clear answer there, but they haven't extended him. And I've wondered that I've been thinking like the last couple of years, why haven't they gotten this guy locked up? And it almost makes me wonder if the Astros have maybe seen this time coming, and maybe they thought, you know what, Kyle Tucker, he's going to be getting close to 30. You know, they did lock up Altuve, but Altuve I feel like is a little different. I don't know. Maybe they're Astros fans. Let me know. But I feel like Jose Altuve is kind of one of those guys you wanted to keep there until the end of his career, no matter what ends up happening with this team in the next few years, because it's just Jose Altuve. He's going to be one of the most remembered Astros players of all time. But I feel like Kyle Tucker could get into that conversation at some point. I've just wondered why they have not extended him. I just find that odd because he's been really good in the last couple of years. So if they don't extend him, I don't see why you don't look into a trade for him. I mean, he would be a highly sought-after bat because when you look at the trade market, there's not really a lot of bats like Luis Ariz. He got moved. But after that, sure, you're going to have, guys like Bregman, right? But there's no, there's not like that one top of the food chain bat that's like having a great year besides Kyle Tucker. So unless Bregman just really starts to heat up here, we'll see. I am wondering if he could be a trade candidate. We'll see. The Astros, if they move him, they'll definitely get a good package back for him. So, number 22, we got the Rays. Up and down week for the Rays, winning 2 out of 3 against the White Sox, losing 2 out of 3 to the Yankees this weekend. They made a good effort today. The Yankees jumped out to a big lead early on in this game today, and then Jose Siri hit a grand slam, and I'm thinking, oh, here come the Rays. But no, the Yankees held them off. But the Rays offense, they have definitely woken up in the last 7 games. Third in offense over the last 7. They're now 13th overall in offense. So the Rays, they're starting to swing the bats a little bit. And of course, Randy Arozarena, I feel like he is the spark plug. When he is going, everyone else seems to start getting going, right? Randy Arozarena has a 1,000 OPS over his last 7. He had that home run against Edwin Diaz last weekend, that clutch home run to tie the game against the Mets. And he's looked pretty good since then. He homered against the White Sox and the Yankees this past weekend. And then you got other guys stepping up. DeLuca, he's been really good. Yandy Diaz is starting to heat up as well. Paredes is having himself a good year. So this offense is starting to churn, and they are getting some pretty good pitching. Bradley with a quality start in a loss against the Yankees. Littell had a win against the Yankees this weekend. Eflin was really good against the White Sox, 7 inning, 1 earned. So the Rays, I feel like they're starting to wake up a little bit. We'll see. But you know what I think it is? I feel like they've been wearing the City Connect jerseys every game, and then they didn't wear them today. Just wear the City Connect jerseys. Like, seriously. Like, they need to just keep those as their home jerseys for the rest of the year. Don't wear any other jersey. I need to go find their record in their City Connects because I feel like it's definitely a winning record. At number 21, we got the A's. They were fun there, but looks like they're starting to come back down to earth a little bit. Losing 3 out of 4 against the Rangers. They gave up 35 runs in that series. They did score 30, but they did not pitch in that series. They definitely had some bats step up, though. Langliers, Toro, Soderstrom, McCann, they had big series, but they just didn't have the pitching. Mason Miller continues to look great, though. I did a video on him a couple of days ago. Could he be a trade candidate if the Oakland A's end up falling out of it, which a lot of people expect them to slowly start to fade? We've seen crazier things, but I don't know. Mason Miller, in my opinion, I think this is a guy Oakland needs to hang on to because, and I had comments on that video saying, why would a team give up that much for a reliever? But you got to think with Mason Miller, he's not just a reliever. He's going to be a starter at some point. They're easing him back into being a starter, right? Because he got hurt last year, and they said coming into this year he was mainly going to be in the bullpen. We'll see if he ends up staying in the bullpen. Either way, though, this is a guy with a ton of control. I mean, he's in his rookie year. At this point, I think he's easily a favorite to be Rookie of the Year. But you got to think, even if he ends up being a closer long term, you have him for 5 years after this. And when you got a guy with the talent that he has for 5 years, and he's cheap, listen, that's still a guy that's going to bring you back a lot. And I had people commenting on that video saying, "Man, why would you give up that much, for a reliever?" It's like, well, have you seen him pitching? Have you seen how many years of control he has until he gets to free agency? Have you seen how much he's making every single year? When you combine all of those things, Mason Miller could absolutely bring you back a lot of prospects, and good prospects at that, especially if you do see him as a starter long-term as well. I think the A's should hang on to him, to be completely honest, but hey, if they think, all right, you know what, we can get a lot of good pieces back for him, help us down the road when we get to Vegas, then maybe it's not completely out of the question. Losing 2 out of 3 to Seattle as well. Joey Estes, number 11 prospect in their system. He did pick up his first win, 5 innings, 1 earned, but not a great week for Oakland overall. Let's move on to the next tier. Michael Yanks, $5 super chat. It feels good to beat the Dodgers again. Michael Yanks, Padres fans, they got to be feeling really good right now. Got to be feeling really good. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that, my friend. Here we go. Moving on to the next tier. Let's get to number 20. You know what? The Giants, they finished up their series against the Phillies early in the week. They ended up getting swept in the 4-game set. And so not a great start to their week, but ended up winning both of their series against Colorado and 2 out of 3 against the Reds this past weekend. The offense came alive a bit this past week. Matt Chapman with a grand slam. There's a sign of life for him against the Reds. Conforto had been hitting well, but he's heading to the IL with a hamstring strain. And Jung-Hoo Lee also looking like he's going to be down for a little bit. Hurt his shoulder trying to make a catch, so hopefully those two guys come back because they were hitting pretty well. Maury's Life, $1.99. I hate being a Giants fan. Maury's Life, one day we're going to get a positive comment from you. I know it. I can smell it. I can feel it. But I'm sorry. But you did have a good week overall. You did have a good week, except for, Jung-Hoo Lee and Conforto. I'm sorry about that. Kyle Harrison looked really good against the Rockies. 7 shutout innings. Hey, gotta love that, right? Mason Black made his debut. That's a guy that I made a video on some prospects that I thought needed to get called up, and Mason Black was one of them. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I take that back. Maury's Life, I'm sorry. I'm making you more upset right now. Sorry, I read it wrong. 4 1/3, 5 earned in the loss to the Phillies in the beginning of the week. So not a great debut, but I do like Mason Black. I expect good things out of him. But yeah, the Giants, in the end, besides the sweep to the Phillies, a good week overall. Let's see if they can carry this into the next week. At number 19, we got the Reds swept by the Diamondbacks and then losing. Well, hold on a second. I might have just made a bit of a hold on. We got to make an audible here. We got to make an audible because the Giants just won their series against the Reds. So, yeah, nope. We got to do the switcheroo. The Reds have not been playing great baseball. Let me do the switch. Here we go. I got to make the audible. At number 19, I'm going to have the Giants. And then at number 20, I'm going to have the Reds. There we go. That makes more sense. There we go. So, number 20, I got the Reds. Again, not a great week. And the Reds, one thing about the Reds that I noticed, they're not good in close games. They're 1-8 in one-run games. They lost 3 games this week by 1 run. They're just not getting the job done. They're 30th in offense in the last 7 games. They're 25th overall in offense. And, we saw all the injuries they were having. Matt McClain going down. And it looks like it's starting to come back to bite him. Elly De La Cruz, he can keep putting up these, video game numbers all he wants, but he needs the rest of the offense to start producing. Elly De La Cruz, did he steal any bases today? I mean, I actually need to check that. He had 25 coming into today. I need to check this. That is insane. Okay, he's still at 25 stolen bases. He has 9 home runs and 25 stolen bases. Coming into today, he was on pace for 37 home runs and 104 stolen bases. Let me repeat that. 37 homers, 104 stolen bases. I think I did the math correctly. Could you imagine if there was a 30-100 club? I don't know, man. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. Ellie De La Cruz, though, he's awesome. Jeimer Candelario starting to heat up a little bit. OPS over 900 in his last 7 games. Spencer Steer, WRC plus of 121 over his last 7 games. But they need the offense as a whole to start doing their thing. The pitching, they are getting the pitching. They're just not getting enough offense. Frankie Montas, he made his return against the Diamondbacks this past week. 6 innings, 1 earned, 7 Ks. So he looked pretty good. Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft, Andrew Abbott, they all pitched 5 innings this past week, but only Abbott came away with a win against the Giants. So again, it's just this offense. They're not giving the support for the pitching. So let's see if they can get this going here in the coming week. Number 18, got the Diamondbacks sweeping the Reds. Did lose 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. Did win today. They scored 9 on the Orioles, so it's kind of weird that they jump up even after losing a series to the Orioles. But you know what? Saw some good things from the Diamondbacks this past week, and combined with the Giants, kind of off to not a great start. Got swept by the Phillies last weekend, and then the Reds not playing well. And the Diamondbacks rank pretty well in some things. When it comes to the offense, they're not as bad as you would think, right? Right now, Arizona, they're 11th in offense, and they're 5th in defense. So they are playing good fundamental baseball, and they are swinging the bats. This is the pitching hasn't really fully been there. They're 18th in starting pitching coming into today. So we'll see how the Diamondbacks are in the coming week. But I did see some good things. Again, scoring 9 runs today. Corbin Carroll might be coming alive, ladies and gentlemen. Had a home run, 5 RBI in game 1 against the Reds this past week. Hit a double today. Suarez, Marte, they both homered against the Reds. Jock Peterson had a good game against Cincinnati. Hit the go-ahead home run in game 3. The rotation, they are getting the starts. Montgomery, he pitched well in his last start, 7 innings, 2 earned. Gallen looked great against the Reds, 6 shutout innings. So I'm liking the Diamondbacks right now. Right now. We'll see if they can carry this in. Again, losing 2 out of 3 to the Orioles this past week. So that might seem a little confusing, but I don't know. I think there were some good things about them. I might be going a little high on them, but you know what? I'm going to give them a little shoveroo here. Hold on. So I need to make a bit of a change here. So let me actually fix this up really quick. I can do this really quick first. At number 17. Nope, that's not correct. So I'm actually going to move the Mets up because... Wait, hold on. My potato brain's kicking in. No, yeah. So I am actually going to move them up here because they did just avoid the sweep to the Braves. They just had the walk-off. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bump the Mets up 1 spot and moving down... We're going to go with the Tigers at number 17. The Tigers have not been playing good baseball this past week, losing 2 out of 3, both to the Guardians and the Astros. Here's the thing with the Tigers. When they score runs, this is going to sound kind of dumb, but when they score, they win. But when they don't score, at least this past week, more than 4 runs, they lose, right? So if the offense is churning, everything is wonderful. But if they are held, to 1, 2, 3, even 4 runs, they just haven't been winning games, right? They need to win the close games. The offense, they're just not cutting it this year. Torkelson, just hit his first home run today. First home run since September of last year. Riley Green, Carpenter, they had a couple of bombs this past week. Mark Canha had a grand slam this past week. So other than that, just not a lot of guys stepping up. And, they are getting a couple other guys, contributing, but the offense as a whole is very up and down. There is just issues, right, with consistency with the Tigers offense. They are getting the pitching. Skubal had a great outing this weekend. 6 1/3, 2 earned, 7 Ks. Casey Mize, he's actually having a pretty strong season. I wonder if he could be a candidate for comeback player of the year. 6 innings, 1 earned in his last start. Flaherty, he took L's in both of his starts this week, but he did look pretty good overall. But the Tigers, they're not winning games here, so I had to drop them down. So now that the Mets, they got the win here tonight. They got the win. I had them at 17, but because they avoided the sweep and got the walk-off, I'm going to give them a little bumpity bump here. Going to number 16, winning both against the Cardinals this week. Third game got rained out. Ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the Braves, but we know the Braves are good, right? But Brandon Nimmo stepping up in a big way. Brandon Nimmo has been really good, right? Now that he just hit the walk-off. He had 2 home runs this past week. Brandon Nimmo has been really clutch. Had a go-ahead home run earlier in the week. I believe he had a game-tying home run in another, I think in the very next game against St. Louis. And now the walk-off, Brandon Nimmo is coming up huge for the Mets. Pete Alonso, he hit pretty well this past week, had a homer and a double in game 2 against the Cardinals. Hey, JD Martinez, sorry. He saved the day. They were about to get no hit. Braves had a combined no-hitter going. Fried looked great. But the bullpen, they couldn't hold it down. Iglesias, 2 outs, home run, JD Martinez. So, but Mets right now, the middle of the road, the offense, 15th overall, 23rd this past week. So they need to get everyone else really going here. So, starting pitching, Sean Manaea, Budo, they both picked up wins this past week. Christian Scott, had a quality start against the Braves, but he took the L. Again, the offense just not coming up with a whole lot. Quintana, he didn't do great against the Braves, but overall there were some good things with the Mets pitching this past week. So, but the walk-off tonight definitely helped them here. This might be the surprise of the week, and I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit, even though my Red Sox just beat them. I got the Nationals at 15, and I actually might even make now the Mets walk-off really changes things for me, because I don't know, I was like thinking, oh man, are the Braves going to get the sweep? So I put the Mets lower, but I've been really liking the Nationals. I really have been liking this Nationals team. They're kind of like they're like the Reds last year, the Orioles a couple of years ago, where they weren't fully there yet, but you saw a gritty team, a fun team doing little things to win ball games, and that's what the Nationals are doing. And again, this might be a little high. This might be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but this Nationals team, watching them this past weekend, they're just a tough team all weekend. Patrick Corbin got the win against my Red Sox. My goodness, Patrick Corbin. Come on. Goodness. But they split with Baltimore. They really took it to Corbin Burns, man. They did not give Corbin Burns an easy game. The one thing about this Nationals team is they run the bases very well. They steal bases. They move base to base very well. They just do the little things there, and I love that about this Nationals team. They're 23rd in WRC+, but they're 3rd in base running. They stole a lot of bases against Burns in that start earlier this week, and that created runs. They're very good at manufacturing runs. Again, I just like that. I like that about a team, even if you don't got the big bats like the Dodgers, right? I like those teams where they do the small things, right? Eddie Rosario, though, this guy's looking like Barry Bonds lately. Eddie Rosario, holy cow, he has 4 home runs this past week. Coming into today, in his last 7 before today, he was hitting .450, a .542 on base, a .950 slugging. what in the world? Eddie Rosario is just going bonkers. Let me actually make sure those are the updated stats here. Let me see. Last 7 games. Okay, so let me just read this. Last 7 games, Eddie Rosario is hitting .455, a .571 on base, a slugging of 1.045, 4 homers, 7 RBIs. He's seeing the ball really well. He has 6 walks against 4 strikeouts in his last 7. So if there's a sneaky guy that, could be someone you could pick up in your fantasy league, I think Eddie Rosario could be one of those guys. This guy's red hot. CJ Abrams, he's cooled down a little bit though, so hopefully he can get himself going. But one underrated thing about the Nationals is their starting pitching. They've been getting great starting pitching. They're 3rd in Fangraph WAR in starting pitching this year so far. Like I said, Patrick Corbin got the freaking win against the Red Sox on Friday. Irvin, Gore, they pitched well in this past series. Trevor Williams, 8 strikeouts, 5 shutout against the Orioles this past week. Listen, this Nationals team, and again, I'm probably going to get someone in the comments thinking, really, the Nationals at 15? I kind of just like this team. They're doing little things well. They're pitching well. I like it. So, Nationals at 15. Maybe that's a bit of a surprise for some people. Number 14, I got the Rangers. After getting swept by the Rockies, this might be too high for some people. They did win their series against Oakland in the beginning of the week. They were going off on Oakland. They're 12th in offense overall. They scored 35 runs. I said that earlier. Corey Seager had a couple of home runs this past week. Hit a go-ahead home run against the A's in that series. Tavares, Semien, they both hit a couple of bombs this past week. They have been getting some pretty good pitching. Gray looked good against the Rockies. Rockies ended up winning that one, but he went 6 innings, 7 Ks. Andrew Heaney, he looked pretty good against both the Rockies and the A's this week. Jack Leiter got called back up again. Didn't look amazing against Oakland. 4 earned in 4 innings. He got sent back down after. Man, I don't know what to think here. About Jack Leiter. I don't know, man. I hope he gets himself together. Lorenzen, though, he got rocked by Oakland. 6 earned in 6 innings. So the Rangers, they do fall a couple of spots here. But, man, not a good look. Not a good look getting swept by the Rockies. Goodness gracious. Number 13, we got the Mariners losing 3 out of 4 to the Twins, but then salvaging their week, winning 2 out of 3 against Oakland. The offense, it's just so up and down. I want this Mariners team to be a top 10 team. I think they have that potential to be a top 10 team, but they just don't put it together. J-Rod homer today. Cal Riley hit 3 home runs this past week. Had a pinch hit grand slam against the Twins. Dylan Moore, Raley, they've been hitting. Moore had a solid game against Oakland. 5 RBIs, a career high. So, but again, just up and down. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Mariners offense. But, starting pitching, they are 8th on the year, but up and down lately. Castillo had a quality start against the Twins in a loss. He was solid today against Oakland. Brian Wu, he did make his return against Oakland, was feeling some tightness in his elbow, or his forearm. Look out for Brian Wu, man. I always I grimace whenever I see forearm tightness or whatever. Bryce Miller, Kirby, they both took L's this week. Gilbert, he got rocked against the Twins, 8 runs in 4 innings. I don't know, man, this Mariners team, I want them to be better than this, and they're just not. My Red Sox, they get moved down a spot from last week, losing both against the Braves. Sound FX, where are you at, my friend? I need to give you all of the flowers. My goodness, the Braves, they really took it to the Red Sox this past week. And like I mentioned, winning 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. It was a hard-fought series against the Nationals this past weekend. They were not easy wins, but the Red Sox, they continue to pitch well for the most part. Cooper Criswell, who would have thought Cooper Criswell would have had a better stat line than Paul Skenes? this past weekend. I'm just saying. Tanner Houck, 7 innings, no decision against the Nationals. Cutter Crawford looked pretty good against the Braves. Nick Pivetta, though, not very good against the Braves. The Braves have always, those guys in their lineup, they've always had his number. Ozuna has always had his number, and he went deep against him. Oh, goodness gracious. The offense, they're middle of the road. They're 17th in offense on the year. Ceddanne Rafael has been hitting pretty well lately, but against Chris Sale, they couldn't do anything against Chris Sale. I mean, my goodness, like it just felt like the biggest revenge game ever. Like, I know Chris Sale, he has no ill will against the Red Sox, but, when you think about the fact that they traded him away, paid his salary, to go to the Braves, sure, they get Vaughn Grissom back in return, but Sale just looked so good against that. That's the guy that the Red Sox fans just wanted consistently, and he just couldn't ever stay on the field, and he's been great. I feel really happy for the guy that he's pitching so well with Atlanta, but it kind of stung a little bit to see that against the Red Sox. Again, 6 innings, 10 Ks. But yeah, Jarren Duran, he had his 6th triple this past week. He's on pace for 24 over 162 games. The record for a single season is 26. George Treadway, Joe Jackson, and Sam Crawford are tied for the record of triples in a single season. Could Jarren Duran maybe approach that? We'll see. Rafael Devers, Abreu having pretty good weekends. So, the Red Sox up and down week. So, but they did move down a spot. And at number 11, we got the Padres. How about a week for the Padres here? Winning 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, winning 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. They are now knocking on the door for the top 10. Offense have been pretty good this year. 6 overall, 29th in the last 7. So runs at time, well, not counting today though. Runs at times have been a bit hard for the Padres to come by. Tatis though did hit a home run today, passed his dad on the all-time leaderboard, so that's pretty neat. Against the Cubs earlier in the week, they had a 6-run, 6 innings, so they definitely they put together a lot of runs there. Other than that, though, it felt like they were kind of scraping a little bit. But, Campusano, Cronenworth, they have been hitting well. Machado, Bogarts, though, ice cold. Bogarts did homer today, so let's see if that can lead to a bit of momentum moving forward. Starting pitching, though, the offense hasn't been great statistically, but the starting pitching really stepped up this past week. Yu Darvish looked awesome against the Dodgers today. Also looked really good against the Cubs earlier in the week. Dylan Cease, he was nasty against the Cubs this past week. 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. Robert Suarez had a really good outing against the Cubs. Had a 5-out save. Had himself a really good week out of the bullpen. But let's see if the Padres can keep this going. Also, Luis Rise had a walk-off first game in San Diego this year, or in his Padres career. What a great way to start your career in San Diego. I like that move, man. I really did. But that was a big moment for them. I feel like he is fitting in personality-wise. I don't know why. It just seems like everyone's already clicking with each other there. I think he brings good vibes to that team. We'll see. But the Padres pitching is looking great. They're doing some good things with the offense. Let's see if they can really put it together this coming week. So we got right around 400 people in the chat. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for us. The goal for tonight was 200. We're at 152. If you can help us get to 200 by the end of the night, I will love you forever. Make sure that bell's turned on. Share the show if you can. Subscribe if you are new in the chat. And everyone, really quick, do just want to go over tonight's sponsor, and that is BetUS. So let me just grab this for all of you really quick. So I actually made a couple of bets this past weekend, and I actually hit on a couple of bets. So let's actually take a look at what I won myself this week. So taking a look here, I didn't really like the odds, for a lot of the games too much today. I actually just went with a pretty small one. And let me actually pull this up here. Hold on one second. So taking a look here. So this past weekend, they actually, BetUS, they did some lines for Paul Skenes' debut. And one of the lines was 3 strikeouts or 3+ strikeouts in any inning in his debut. I threw down $20, ended up winning $60. I'm just saying. So always look out for BetUS. You know, they'll sometimes throw some fun odds in there. And once I saw the Paul Skenes one, I was like, you know what? Let me throw down $20 on one of these. And hey, I won myself $60. So I was pretty stoked about that one. And then today, I just decided to be a little biased with a bet today. I had some free play money. And you know what? I just threw down $5 for my Red Sox to win today. They had the under at -138. So I was like, whatever. I'll throw down $5. I had like $5 left in free play. So I threw that down. And hey, they got the win today. So I ended up winning myself $3.62. What can I say? I'm just rolling in the riches right now. But hey, as you can see, if my potato self can win some cash, you can too. Make sure you go check out BetUS. They got odds all the time, especially with basketball on right now. You got the hockey playoffs on right now, and every day with baseball, you have game odds, you got futures odds as well. So make sure you take advantage. In the description down below, there is a link. You get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's not bad if you're just starting up. So definitely take advantage of that deal. Make sure you use code JOIN125. Everyone, I can't stress enough, simply just clicking on that link in the description and just signing up, even if you just make a small deposit, it goes such a long way in supporting the channel. I can't stress that enough. Hey, BetUS, they're helping pay the bills over here, so I can't thank them enough for all they do for us. And hey, they're helping support the channel in a big way. So again, just clicking that link, it really does help support what we do here. So go check them out. Go win yourself some cash. Make sure you play responsibly. That is the most important thing at the end of the day. Alrighty, let's get back to the power rankings here. And we got 10 more teams to go through. Here we go. At number 10. At number 10, we got the Brewers. Up and down week for the Brewers, so they stay in the same spot for me, losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals, but then winning 3 out of 4 against the Cardinals. This offense is really good this year. Second in offense overall on the year. Willy Adames, he had a go-ahead home run in the 9th inning earlier this week against Kansas City. Rhys Hoskins, man, this guy has been great for them. Had a clutch go-ahead home run against the Cardinals on Saturday. Contreras, Bowers, they've been hot. Gary Sanchez had a couple of home runs this week. Gary Sanchez starting to wake up. And Christian Yelich, he returned this past week. Had a big series against the Cardinals this weekend. So Christian Yelich definitely going to help this offense even more. And this offense was already doing well without him. So look out for these Brewers bats, man. As for the pitching, again, it's kind of funny. I've said this, I feel like, a million times now, but usually it's the other way around. Pitching for the Brewers, not a whole lot of bats. So they've basically done a flip-flop this year. You know, Peralta, he's been decent the last couple of starts. Robert Gasser made his debut against the Cardinals this past weekend. Number five prospect in their system. Had 6 shutout innings, so hey, good sign there. They definitely need as much pitching as they can get in that rotation. But hey, for the Brewers, pretty simple. They stay in the number 10 spot. At number 9, we got the Cubs. And up and down week for them as well. Losing 2 out of 3 against the Padres, winning 2 out of 3 against the Pirates, and, well, they didn't beat Paul Skenes on Saturday, but in the end, they ended up winning the series. Offense ranks 10th overall. Patrick Wisdom, 2nd home run today off of Chapman in the 10th inning. Since coming off the IL, he is 9 for 28. So Patrick Wisdom, definitely hot. Michael Busch had a walk-off home run against the Padres earlier this week. I've loved that pickup for them. Ever since I remember when they made the trade, I just loved the move because this is a guy that was doing really good things with the bat in the Dodgers system. He just had nowhere to play, and now he's got his opportunity here, and he's doing great things with the Cubs. Bellinger's been red hot, hitting over 300 in his last 7 games. OPS over 1,100 in his last 7, 3 homers. So look out for Bellinger. Imanaga just continues to pitch great. Against San Diego earlier this week, 7 innings, 2 earned, 8 Ks. It's unbelievable what he's doing, right? Because everyone was looking at Yamamoto coming into the year, and, you know, people are thinking, okay, Imanaga, yeah, good mid-rotation starter. Imanaga is looking like just an ace. It's crazy. What he is doing, he just has batters just completely baffled. The fastball, it's crazy watching it. It's not like Papelbon back in the day when he first came up. Papelbon had so much life on his fastball, but he had more velocity, right? But Imanaga, it has like that same action, even more so, like way more. But he's throwing it like 91, 92, and when he's throwing it, it looks like it's like 96. Like 97. It's crazy just watching him, man. Imanaga, what a great story he's been. Justin Steele made his return this past week, had a hamstring injury. He did okay, 4 1/3 scoreless, but good to see him back. Cubs, though, hey, you know, sure, losing their series against the Padres earlier this week, but they are looking pretty solid overall. Number 8, the Guardians. They drop a couple of spots here. Bad weekend against the White Sox, losing 3 out of 4. Did win 2 out of 3 against the Tigers earlier in the week, but Guardians, man, not a good look against the White Sox. Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, they're hitting really well lately. They're definitely providing a lot of power. 4 home runs in their last 7 games, but that's pretty much it for the offense. Kyle Manzardo made his debut this past week, but he's been really cold, only a few hits. So Kyle Manzardo, hopefully he can get this figured out at the major league level and he can start contributing a little bit. They are getting some decent starts. Tristan McKenzie had 2 earned in his last 2 starts. Carrasco, 4 earned in his last 2 starts combined. Did take the L against the White Sox. But the Guardians, you know, I don't know, just not really a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a lot of juice for them this past week. So they drop a couple of spots for me. At number 7, we got the Twins. They've just been playing great baseball now for a couple of weeks, winning 3 out of 4 against the Mariners, winning 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays this weekend. 7th in offense on the year. Carlos Santana, big 3-run home run today against the Blue Jays, right? They had a bit of a pitcher's duel going, and he came up with the big blow. Kepler hitting over 400 in his last 7. Ryan Jeffers, 4 home runs in the last 7 games for him. And hey, Carlos Correa, I feel like no one's talking about him. He's quietly having himself a pretty good year, hitting 275, on base at 379. Needs to get the slugging up a little bit. It's at 425. But Correa, remember last year was a really bad year for him, and he's doing pretty well this year. Doing pretty well. Starting pitching, they're getting great pitching. Bailey Ober, again, pitching duel today. 6 1/3, 10 Ks for him today. Pablo Lopez, 10 strikeouts against the Mariners his last time out. Simeon Woods, Richardson, also pitched really well against the Mariners. Joe Ryan picked up a win against the Blue Jays, 1 earned over 7. A lot of really good pitching for the Twins. They're just playing great baseball right now. So, number 6, we got the Royals playing very good. They go up here. I believe they were 7 last week, so they bump up a spot here to number 6, winning 2 out of 3 against the Brewers, winning 3 out of 4 against the Angels. 4th in starting pitching on the year. Seth Lugo, have yourself a day. Get yourself some ice cream, my friend. 12 Ks against the Angels today over 8 innings. Seth Lugo, holy cow. And I remember Red Sox fans were like, really? We're going to go after Seth Lugo? And look what he's doing, man. Teams are seeing this. Would be nice. I think back to the offseason, right? Where the Red Sox, they were in on some guys and they just didn't fully make that push to try and get a guy. So they were getting like outbid by everyone. So I don't know. But Lugo, having a great year. Cole Reagans, 6 innings, 2 earned, 8 Ks versus the Brewers this week. But Bad start against the Angels. 7 earned. Cole Reagans, man. Up and down. But Waka, Marsh, they both pitched well against the Angels this weekend. So, offense, they've been hitting pretty well. Bobby Witt, Pasquantino, red hot lately. MJ Melendez is starting to heat up. There's a little bit of life coming around for MJ Melendez, slugging .584 in his last 7 games coming into today. Dyron Blanco. Am I botching the name? I'm sorry. Is it Dyron? Might be Dyrone? I'm sorry if I'm botching it. He's contributing. Over an 1,100 OPS for him over his last 7. Garrett Hampson is hitting pretty well for them. Royals are looking really good right now. Looking really good. Let's get to the top 5. We got the Braves. Walk-off loss for them tonight, giving up the walk-off homer to Brandon Nimmo. But overall, a good week. Winning both against the Red Sox. Winning both against the Red Sox. Winning 2 out of 3 against the Mets over the weekend. Had a combined no-hitter going against the Mets. Got broken up by J.D. Martinez in the 9th with 2 outs. Would have been their first no-hitter since 1994 by Kent Mercker. I remember thinking, I was like, who threw the last no-hitter? Was it Greg Maddux? Was it John Smoltz? Was it Glavine? I'm like, who was it? I look it up. I'm like, oh, it was Kent Mercker. I'm like, how is it not Greg Maddux? But Max Fried, though, 7 no-hit innings for him. Max Fried, he's looking pretty good. Chris Sale, obviously, I talked about this earlier, looked great against the Red Sox. Again, I mentioned it earlier, Marcell Ozuna. This guy's just hitting like crazy. 12 home runs for him on the year. Over 1,000 OPS for him on the season. Hitting over 300. Gotta love what Marcell Ozuna's doing this year. Reynaldo Lopez. He continues to have himself a solid year. 6 starts now, a 1.53 ERA, FIP at a 3.05, 9 Ks per 9. Orlando Arcia, 2 home runs this past week. So the Braves, overall, a really good week. I think you could make the argument maybe they could get bumped up a little bit because they did have a good week. But at number 4, the Yankees had a good week. Before I talk about the Yankees, I see Sound FX coming in hot with a $10 super chat. Braves make top 5. Okay. Swept the Red Sox at home, then beat the Mets on the road. 7-game homestand coming up versus 3 versus Chicago, 4 versus the Padres. Offense still not getting the ignition, though. Ozuna is him. Yeah, Marcell Ozuna, he owns Nick Pivetta. It's unbelievable how much he owns Nick Pivetta. Ozuna's so good. So good. My goodness. But that's a pretty good little schedule there. When I say good, I mean that's good competition, right? Going up against the Cubs and the Padres coming up. 2 teams that are playing pretty well for the most part, especially the Padres. So let's see. Braves, Padres, they're both playing good baseball right now. Let's see how that ends up going. But yeah, I think the Braves, I said this, right? Last week when the Braves moved down, I said, listen, don't worry about the Braves. They're going to be fine. And here they are, right? Playing good baseball. This is a good team. And, hey, Matt Olson, a sign of life for him, hit a home run this week. So, thank you, SoundFX. Always appreciate your support, my friend. Always love it, my friend. Thank you so much. Golden Spation, how you doing? $1.99. Luis Gil is different. Yes, he is. He is pitching very well. Let's talk about those Yankees. Winning 2 out of 3 against the Astros and the Rays. They are 5th in offense on the year. 5 home runs today. They scored 19 runs in the first 2 games against the Astros earlier in the week. This offense, man, when they're all clicking, oof, it's scary. But let me actually mention Giancarlo Stanton here first, because this is a guy, he's been, when you look at the amount of money that he's making and the hype that he had when he came to New York, you could say he's been a very underwhelming player, right? Pretty terrible contract overall. But when he is hitting well, let me actually pull up his stats here for the year. Giancarlo Stanton, what is his overall line right now? So sure, he's only hitting .230, a .283 on base, but he's got the slugging right now at .452. You still would like that to be higher, right? But you feel like he is at least doing something this year. He's up to 8 home runs. So, again, it's not a great line for him. But when he is contributing, right, when he is a guy that is – he's a guy in the lineup, right? When you pitch against him, you know that this is someone that can do some damage, where the last couple of years it felt like pitchers aren't really scared of this guy, but he is someone that is stepping up, at least, trying to just hit one out every so often here. And I feel like someone like him has really helped this lineup overall, but obviously it is Juan Soto, right? Juan Soto has been the game changer. Once again, just having another good week. Juan Soto at this point, I'm actually wondering if this guy is going to walk away with the MVP. Like, I'm starting to feel pretty confident about that. Coming into the year, I was thinking like, do I go Juan Soto MVP? I don't know. Do I? I'm not sure. But now I think back to it, and I'm kind of regretting not throwing down a little something for Juan Soto for MVP on BetUS. I kind of wish I did. I went with Julio Rodriguez. I kind of wish I went with Juan Soto, though, because I thought it, I felt it. Walk year, Juan Soto very motivated, and I should have known. I should have at least thrown down like $20 on BetUS for him. I hate myself. But I see you in the chat. Lock Smart, Bobby Witt. He is now, at least as of this morning, was, I believe, leading in Fangraph WAR. Let me actually pull this up here. The current leaders. So, yeah, Bobby Witt Jr., 2.8 Fangraph WAR, now is tied with Mookie Betts to lead all of Major League Baseball. But Juan Soto is the better offensive player. So, when you look at the line, Juan Soto has the better batting average, better on base, better slugging, more homers. But Bobby Witt, he's going to give you that more all-around game, right? He's going to give you the more speed. He's going to give you the defense at short. So it'll be really interesting if it comes down to those two. Also, don't count out Gunnar Henderson. This is a guy who's having a great year too. But yeah, I wonder, Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto, that'd be interesting if it ends up coming down to those two, because I feel like they're going to be two just completely different sets of stats, where Soto is going to have, I think, just the better offensive line, but Bobby Witt's going to look more like the more complete player, right? So that'll be an interesting debate. If it ends up coming, if it keeps going this way, that'll be interesting at the end of the year. But yeah, Juan Soto, obviously, he is the straw that stirs the drink for the Yankees, and we are finally seeing Aaron Judge heating up. In his last 7 games, hitting .375, a .516 on base, a 1,000 slugging, 4 homers, 8 RBIs in his last 7 games. Aaron Judge finally waking up. Anthony Volpe hitting well. Gleyber Torres, sign of life possibly, hit his 2nd home run of the year today. So let's see. Verdugo, he has been pretty cold overall. We did have a good game against the Astros earlier in the week. So the Yankees offense right now, it looks great. DJ LeMahieu starting to get into some baseball activities, so he could be making his comeback soon. And Anthony Rizzo, this guy, he's been playing, he's been hitting some bombs in the last couple of weeks. Yankees offense looks really good, but it's not just the offense, it's the pitching as well. Clark Schmidt matching the longest outing of his career against the Rays this past weekend, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 0 earned. Hey, Clark Schmidt, I still remember, go back the last few years, Yankee fans are all over Clark Schmidt when he was a prospect. Oh, man, it's going to be one of our next best guys. And he's starting to show it, starting to be, looks like a guy that Aaron Boone is trusting, to keep in the game a little bit longer. So let's see. We had the super chat earlier from Golden Spation. Luis Gil is different. Yeah, he looked good against the Astros. 6 innings, 1 earned, 5 Ks. Got the win against them. Rodon, he got the win against the Astros earlier in the week. Cortez, though, he got just rocked by the Rays. Didn't look all that great. But really quick, let me pull up the line here for today. Let me go here. Yeah, Luis Gil here today. 6 innings, 3 Ks, 3 hits. I mean, he's looking great, right? I remember thinking going into the year, people were thinking like, oh, Luis Gil in the rotation. I don't know, but he's looked just fantastic. So the Yankees, they're just looking really good right now. Yankee fans, there is a different energy among them this year. Number 3, we got the Orioles splitting with the Nationals this past week. Did win 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks over the weekend. Did take the loss today, but overall, I mean, the Orioles just look great, right? 4th in offense on the year. Santander, big week for him. Slugged over 800, 3 homers. I just mentioned Gunnar Henderson earlier. He's hitting great. Mountcastle's hitting well. Westberg hitting great. Westberg had a walk-off on Saturday, so he's coming up with clutch hits as well. Starting pitching is looking pretty solid for the most part. They're 9th overall in starting pitching Fangraph WAR. Corbin Burnes, I talked about him earlier. The Nationals, they were definitely taking advantage. Corbin Burnes does not hold runners well. This is something to keep an eye on with Corbin Burnes, right? We all know what he can do, but with runners on, he's getting exploited a little bit, right, where they're running on him and they're stealing bases. And the Nationals, they might have shown the blueprint for Corbin Burnes because he was letting runners just run all over him and they were manufacturing runs. So let's see. But he did have a pretty good start overall. 6 1/3, 3 earned, 6 Ks in the loss. Irvin, he picked up a win against the Diamondbacks. So let's, Orioles starting pitching continues to look solid. Big story for the Orioles this past week, though, is Bob Nightingale, or Craig Kimbrell, he continues to struggle, ERA in the high 4s, and it's looking like the Orioles are now not willing to go with him as the closer, or at least they're not confident in him being the closer full time. He pitched in the 7th inning this past weekend. Cano ended up getting a save this past weekend. So look out for the Orioles to maybe be on the market for a closer at the deadline. Maybe someone like Ryan Presley. I did the video on Mason Miller. If they want to pony up the prospects, if they want to, maybe go see what the price is for Mason Miller, we'll see. But I think the Orioles, they're going to be on the market for a big-time reliever at the deadline. At number 2, we got the Phillies. I thought about putting the Phillies at number 1. I'm going to be very honest with you. I thought about it. I did. I'm not ready yet. Not fully ready. I know the Dodgers just lost 2 out of 3 to the Padres. I know. I'm not ready to make that move just yet. I need to see another week. Let me talk about the Phillies first. Finishing the sweep of the Giants, beginning of the week, splitting with Toronto, winning 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. They almost had the sweep today, and they got walked off. But first in starting pitching on the year, Zach Wheeler, man. Oh, he's so good, but he gave up a hairball today. 4 innings, 6 earned against the Marlins. They had him figured out. He looked great against the Giants his last time out, though. Christopher Sanchez looked really good against the Blue Jays. Suarez, Walker, they've been pitching pretty well for the most part lately. 3rd in offense. 1st in the last 7. They've been doing really well with the bats. Big week for Bryce Harper. Had a couple of home runs, hit a grand slam as well. Schwarber, Castellanos, Rojas, they went deep. So the Phillies, they just continue to look solid. And again, I thought about putting them at number 1. I really did. But I think that would be kind of doing a bit of a hot potato. I just think, yeah, sure, Padres won their series against the Dodgers. And no, Padres fans, no, you're just because you beat the Dodgers doesn't mean you're the number 1 team in baseball. Calm it, hold the phone there, okay? But for the Dodgers, listen, this offense, what they did against the Marlins, I know it's the Marlins, okay? But, you should beat those teams. But holy cow, they were putting up just some ridiculous numbers against the Marlins. I mean, home runs galore. Teoscar Hernandez, 4 homers, 10 RBIs in his last 7 games. Ohtani didn't play today, but 3 homers in his last 7 games. Freeman with a couple of homers. Muncy with a grand slam against the Marlins. Gavin Lux with his first home run since 2022. Mookie Betts has been pretty much ice cold, but everyone else is stepping up. This is a scary lineup, man. When you got Betts doesn't even need to hit. when, he can just take a break. He says, all right, guys, you guys can take over for a little bit. I'm gonna take the back seat here. You guys get some hits. That's the Dodgers lineup. Teoscar Hernandez is going crazy with the Dodgers. And the thing, the Red Sox were in contention for him this offseason. I was told personally that he would have signed with the Red Sox if they had ponied up the money. And, hey, it is what it is, and he's doing great with the Dodgers. Offense is looking great. They're first overall on Fangraphs. 10th in starting pitching. Walker Buehler made his return this past week. He hasn't he's never really pitched great against the Padres. Let me actually go pull up the final line here today. Again, Padres looking great today. Darvish looked awesome. But Buehler, he's always had a bit of a tough time against the Padres and Fernando Tatis Jr. Tatis Jr. hitting another home run against him today. 3 1/3 for Buehler today. 3 earned. Gave up a couple of home runs overall. I believe 2. It wasn't 2 Bogart. One was Tatis. And who was the other one? It was Tatis. And then, Cronenworth, right? So, yeah, Buehler, it looks like he's still finding his way, still trying to shake off the rust. He'll be fine, though. Yamamoto, I talked about him earlier, gave up the home run to Jazz Chisholm, but he looked pretty solid. 8 innings, 2 earned against the Marlins this week. Gavin Stone looked good this week. Paxton, 6 shutout against the Padres. They got a lot of injuries in this bullpen right now, but I think, they're going to be fine long term. The Dodgers team, again, I'm not ready to take them out of the top spot just yet. I know they lost their series to the Padres, but I don't want to be that guy with the power rankings. I don't want to be too reactive. There will be times, where yes, you can react strongly to things, but I think in this case, I just want to see another week, maybe even 2. We'll see. But Andrew Lee, maybe I am a coward. Maybe I should have just put the Padres at 1. I should have done it. Should I make the move? Should I do it? Nah, I'm not going to do it. Everyone, that is it for Power Rankings for this week. Just want to say, as always, thank you so much for coming out for the Power Rankings once a week. Always enjoy doing this. And it's always nice seeing your friendly faces. Even you, Andrew Lee, I know. Maybe the Padres can make it to the top 10 next week. I will say, Andrew Lee, Padres are looking good. I am looking to see if they can crack the top 10 for next week. Can the Phillies maybe take the number 1 spot next week? I don't know. Probably not, though, because who is going to be number 1 next week? My Red Sox are clearly going to be in the number 1 spot next week. I'm just saying. Everyone, if you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. Hit that bell. Make sure it's turned off. We got more uploads coming this week. Share the show if you can. And again, if anyone else is new, think about subscribing. We are closing in on 40,000 subscribers. And everyone, please, again, don't forget about our sponsor, BetUS. They're doing great things for us. They're helping keep the lights turned on here. They're helping pay the bills. And at just signing up, even making just a small deposit, goes a long way in supporting the channel. I can't stress that enough. Always make sure you play responsibly with BetUS. Go see if you can win yourself some cash. But everyone, thank you for coming out for another episode of Power Rankings. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. Have yourself a great week. We will see you next Sunday night. I'll talk to you next time.